What is up, everyone? It is Matthew here. I just wanted to start this weekly market breakdown with just a word of warning that we are coming off of a good week, and we just have to remember that as we make decisions this week, that we're not uh, sort of making decisions from that position of hubris or invincibility or anything like that. So let's just get back to basics. I've cleaned up a bunch of my charts. Let's have a look here. The Forex factory is pretty clean. It's a lot of yellow. There's a tentative JPY tomorrow, Monday, but and then maybe the odd, these yellow flags. But really, starting into Tuesday is when you're getting into your red flag. So today, tomorrow, it's pretty clear. Um, that's just good to know as we move forward here. Okay, so the dollar index, I've already adjusted that it was the start of the week. It really, over the course of the whole week last week, it dropped and then it retraced right back to where it was to start the day or to start the week. So I see more downside on the US dollar. Now, I know this pattern originally, we talked about this as a textbook upside. You have what's called a climax. It's entered into this sideways channel and it should have broken out up to the upside. But I guess with the fundamental and the macro reasons, with so many issues in the United States right now, it's just not happening. People are not taking as much faith. You have riots and all that sort of stuff in the US dollar. So um, let's just keep an eye on it. It looking left here, we obviously entered into this area of support, and then it's reacted. And the next step for me would be to fib it. Let's fib this going down, and we would want price to come up. My sweet spot is the 50% fib level. But then you can see we had a trend line here, and we have that 200 EMA. This is on a daily and I would want price to come up and then drop away that way. So let's see what it does this week. Not making any decisions. I'm not in any US dollar trades that I can think of right now. Pardon me, I think I am in the US Swissy since over the weekend. Um, anyway, so it broke out and it had this incredible run up. Now we had spoke. This is the euro US dollar. We had spoken about this area of support, and it dropped through a trend line and then just kept dropping away. I personally think, just like I pointed out, on because this is the dollar index, which is about 60% of the euro USD pair, and it is inversely correlated, meaning if you look at it, it very much has the same pattern um, as it's dropped out of a wedge. So anyway, so we've moved up. I think the same thing, like I said, if I fibbed from this point to this point, I would want to see price coming down to at least this level before I started getting excited about looking for longs or anything of that nature. So let's just wait. Let's just see. It's Sunday market open. We are already in a trade idea, and we'll move forward and highlight that. This was mentioned in the public group. Gentleman said he was watching this weekly candle confirm, and then he said, "Oh, geez, look at that! Now it is a daily candle that has confirmed more upside." And the term I used was fractality. The fractal nature of markets is important, and you'll see that as you start dropping down time frames. So it spent the week dropping away, and then it needs to sort of revert to mean and come back up, and if it's going to drop away that way. I don't know what it's up to. The USD yen is inversely correlated generally to the gold. It's inversely correlated to gold. So let's just see what happens. Let's sit on our hands. I don't have any clear guidance yet about what exactly we're going to be doing here. And all I can be is reactive to these markets. So I'm just waiting, just hanging out, and we'll see what all of this does. Because I am obviously biased towards gold breaking to the upside, which would mean this is going down to the downside, which is on a weekly, it is confirmed that. And you can see that it's a strong rejection at a 200 and then more downside. So nothing that I want to take right now. Maybe we can even set an alert here at the 50% fib level, just as I'm sitting here. Oh, wow, nailed that. And let's just see what this does in the coming days. I'm gonna write 50% fib. And then I do this. I don't make, nothing is ever guaranteed, so I just always put a question mark that I never want myself to get comfortable with the idea of just short it, just do, I want to say, should we be shorting here? And then I have a look at the chart at that time. So if we get to that level, the alert will signal and I'll be able to look at the scenario at that point. So I'm going to drop down to the daily. I usually start at the daily. We had that area shaded and it broke out and it's down to the downside. Now, I would think that this is looking like further upside. And let's see what it does going, if it's going to relax in this area. Here's your EMAs that are coming together, flattening out. There's on a 4 hour, there's a 200 EMA, and I think we would probably start skipping to the upside. Let's see what happens. This is all kind of confirming that US dollar weakness, and I like to mark these while I'm with you guys live so that we have an idea of what we're looking at. So let's keep an eye on things. I'm not in anything yet. Let's, as we go through our charts on a daily basis, we just keep waiting for those good setups and price to come to us. So this was a beautiful trade idea that we highlighted last week. You can see that it ran up and it created this kind of rising wedge pattern. And in theory, these rising wedge patterns break to the downside, and we had that. And it broke and it came retested and dropped away. So for me, at this point, I am short the odd and another pair, which I highlighted, and I've been, it's a pretty long swing trade for me. But you can see that I would want to see price coming down a little bit to this area before I started thinking about taking any long. So let's let price get down to this area if we're going to go up, and we'll let price tell us what it's doing in the optimal area of right here. So the US Swissy we talked about last week. This was a trade idea that I put out on a Friday, and it wasn't the best timing. We got in here and then it ran up and then it confirmed. Now it never took me out because we're up here, but it basically just before the weekend it closed, or just before the weekend it hit break even, and I actually never got even to the chance of closing it out. So over the course of the last couple hours of market open, it has formed these clear candles that it just cannot get above this, and I'd be looking for a little bit more downside. I'm actually still in this trade. So this little scalp that I thought I'd be in and out of on a Friday, I carried over the weekend accidentally, to be honest, and I explained that in Friday's wrap up. That I had an alarm set. I was on my bike, and by the time I pulled over, I just didn't get it closed. So we are human beings, we make mistakes, but it was a risk managed trade, and in the long run, it might look like I might profit here. So just a little scalp, but I think we've had a beautiful run up. I would want to see price starting to hit this 50% fib level, and we will review that when we get there. But that was one of those trades that I actually was trying to follow with my fib, and it never came back and hit. And let me highlight this a little better. So when I had a limit order set, it ran up, and I thought we would drop, and then it would take off, and it never. As I was following my fib, you can see it never pulled back, and I kept following it, and it never made it back. So it sucks watching things go on, but no one's complaining about our performance from last week. But it was a trade that we lost, and we didn't chase it. So up here, So we'll see what happens. We'll let price get a little bit lower, and then we will talk as the week progresses. New Zealand US dollar, I don't know. I'm really sitting on my hands right now, and we have the double top, the drop away, but nothing's really screaming at me. So I'd want a little bit of direction. If it pushes off in a direction, I'd find a consolidation zone and hop in on the short. If it pushes off in a direction, I'd find a consolidation zone and push off. But I really believe this could go more to the upside. It aggressively pushed up, broke through that 200 EMA, and dropped, and then I think it would push off. It still has this area to hit in kind of a perfect world of resistance. So let's keep an eye on it. Let's fib it maybe from here to here. I know some guys would use something around here or even that level there. Uh, I I'm fibbing it, but I would be very, um, with this 200 EMA on a daily, price is going to start to really slow down here. And if we look to the right, we have whole numbers starting to present themselves as well. So let's just see what happens. There's nothing here for me to get short, and we're not chasing trades this week. All right, so US CAD, this was an amazing trade on an amazing high opportunity from last week. We've pushed up. This is obviously correlated to oil. We're going to get to that. And this oil here, I really think we're going to see further downside. I've made some larger decisions in oil as of the last month or two, and I've scaled out of a lot of them. So whether I'm right, um, I just feel like this has dropped through a trend line. It hit this 200 EMA, and also if you look here, it's a 61.8 fib level. So it's hit that level. It's confirming that it's showing weakness. How far this goes, I don't know. Um, but we have these waves of down, up, and then I would fib. Uh, I'm using this one monitor right now, and I tell you, it's always a little not challenging, but a little tight. So we have this there. I fibbed it. You can see it's kind of ghosted a little lighter, but there's the fib level. I would be honestly, I'd be like in and around here if I was going to be long in anything. I don't want to get short right here. I want to wait for a little bit more confirmation, a little bit more clarity, and then we can talk about going short. But that's my bias with oil is for it to drop. And if we look over here, as it drops, we would be looking for more upside in the dollar. And yeah, so is this the flag that we're looking at? I don't know. You can see it's dropped down, tested over on this side. You can see those wicks rejected. Is it going up? Who knows? I'd want a little bit deeper of a correction. Um, let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on oil as well, and we'll go from there. So this is the Euro CAD from last week. I'm actually at break even in this one, and that's why I mentioned the Euro Swissy, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm always cautious of my correlation, and this is a trade that it was in this triangle pattern, and it is broken out to the upside. So you've had this run up, a pennant has formed on a large scale, and now it's broken out. It's obviously retracing because it's had quite a run up, and now I think we've got further upside. So I'm still in this, and I think we're heading on up. And this is in the way I've set this up, this is a 3.5 to 1. So this is going to be a long run. You can see we have our resistance starting to show on this side, but it's going to be a bit of a patience game on this one, as it has been. But this was traded, and the idea that I posted was on the weekly. So yeah, so let's keep an eye on that. I'm still in that trade. The euro yen, yet again, the euros are really setting up for, um, I just see a lot of trades. I see a lot of trades setting up. We've had that run up, the pullback. Here, price is starting to slow with long candles. You could call that a spinning top. And then you go look left, and we're right in the meat of that support zone there. So, and then we're at the 38.2. It's not good enough for me. I like to see kind of up in this level, that sweet spot of the 50% fib. And then right here are all the EMAs starting to come together. So this would be price resistance. And if you wanted to trade this, if the yen was really exciting for you, remember back in our Forex factory, we have this policy statement that could really shake things up. So maybe this pair isn't the best to trade, and we've already highlighted the EuroCAD, we've already highlighted the Swissy, and we'll go from there. So Yeah, but that's a trade idea that we could definitely get into in the once that news event passes. But I think there's better ones for us to have a look at. Um, in regards to the euro pound, I am having a look here. We've had this run down, we've had it run back up, and you could call this a flag. It's a little choppy for me. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really excited about looking at this right now, so I'm just going to move on. It's a little choppy, nothing's being clearly highlighted for me, and I'll just move on. This was something that I highlighted in the private group, but okay, so this is a trade idea that I have already posted in the private group. Uh, this idea of price, if you really look back, and we have this double bottom, we have a trend line going back to April, May of 2018, and we have the break. Now this is a daily chart, so we've had this strong break, we've had the retracement back, and right here we have two intersecting trend lines, and these are major trend lines. If you look left, um, we have a lot of resistance for price, or pardon me, support. We have a lot of resistance in the support zones of price where it just will have a hard time dropping through. The probabilities are on our side here. So we've had the run up, we've had the drop, we've had the confirmation in these candles here on a daily at the trend line at the 50% fib level and 61.8 fib level right here. I've taken the trade. I went long here. My stop is sitting here. Um, Now I moved this slightly for illustration purposes in another video, but and then from here is where I'd be looking to take profits. It's a 2.5 to 1 risk reward ratio, which is just stellar. Um, if you really got into a long run, we could look left and at this next resistance zone here. So I'm in it. Let's see what happens and let's move on. This one, the Australian dollar is showing a lot of weakness. There's a lot of issues on a macro level with the Australian currency and some trade issues with China right now. Um, the Australian dollar is dropping, and the euro seems to be like it's obviously gaining strength over, especially the U.S. dollar. So let's see what happens. There's nothing jumping out at me here. It, it, this was an idea where we talked about maybe a triple bottom, but it dropped below that. Is this a retest or drop away, or is this the scoop? Is this the they call them Adam and Eve bottoms. So I believe that's an Eve bottom because it's rounded. Um, where they come up with this stuff. But I would say upside potential. So we'll see what happens. That's the euro odd, but let's let's put a little bit of an annotation on the chart there, and let's see what happens. But nothing jumping out at me there. Remember, we don't need to take every trade. We need to take good trades. And so, yeah, I stick to this. We're in a channel, the pound, Swissy. Nothing that's jumping out at me yet again. Not loving anything here. So I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait to see what happens as the week progresses. Pound yen, the price broke out of this trend line here, and then we've had a nice run up, and now we've returned to this level. Is this the 50% fib? Is it? You can always find reasons, and you have to be careful of that in your trading. But we've come right back to that 50% fib level. We're sitting right on these two EMAs. And I don't know if you noticed, but these EMAs here, when you start dropping down, you're sitting right on now a 200 EMA in the 4 hours. So you can see kind of going back to that fractal nature, that flags and look at, there's your head and shoulders pattern clearly, and it's run down. That pattern has completed itself because it's had that rundown and is now hitting different areas of support. But I would go. I'm not going to take the trade right now, but my bias would be to long. So, but let's just see what it does. Okay, the odd CAD. This is nothing that I'm excited about right now. These are both commodity currencies. We talked about oil. Nothing that I'm getting jazzed about, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be touching this right now. Let's see if anything pops up as the week goes on. So this was one of our trades from last week. There's your head and shoulders pattern, projection down, absolutely gorgeous. Excellent work last week. This pattern has completed, and I would be looking for now a little bit of upside. Um, this has made it to our area of support, and this is the 4 hour. Let me have a look here. So we've made it to these levels, and you have these EMAs here, and what do we got? We got blue starting, which is your buying pressure. Um, yeah, well, yeah, I'm interested to see what this does. Let's toss a kind of a watching color on there. I usually use green. These are not always perfect. I'm not always up to date, but I use red as I'm just always watching it. I'm always in. I always have positions in um, gold and silver, but then on this side, it's just something I'm just marking just to watch because I think that is a. I think this might be a good trade. We've had that run up. We've had the pullback, and let's see what we can do here. If we can get, maybe a double bottom would be something that this is going to perform. Yeah, let's see what these next couple candles provide in the way of signals. It's Sunday night. Let's not get crazy, but I would want to see maybe price coming back a little further down here, get our stop down here, maybe even below this whole level, and then maybe we're going to run up. But once again, that odd is seeing a lot of pressure. So this is the trade that I took, and I highlighted it in one of the ideas and in the group. But you can see that we broke out of a channel, broke below its weekly 200. You can see that we had quite the channel running down this way and running along this way. If you ran trend lines across these tops here, um, you would be kissing these areas. So this is something I'm watching. This shooting star was the big deal to me. It's confirming as it's dropping away. Sure, I expect things to relax and come on back up, maybe retest this area, but we're most likely coming back down to at least this level here. I have my alert set, and then we would be looking for more upside potential with this pair. We'll see what happens. So this is Bitcoin. Uh, we'll see. She's a real tumultuous gal right now. This is starting to show a little bit of interest to me. I don't trade Bitcoin often. 40% swings in a matter of a couple hours is not something that I feel I need to expose myself to. Saying that, I do take it. My broker's just gotten a little bit better with being able to more narrowly focus your risk management on it, but it also does not allow me to trade um, over weekends. So it's not something I really rush to. I know a lot of guys like looking at it. Looking at this, we have this 200 EMA, and you can see that it's really been respecting it. Came down, dropped away, came down, ran up, came down. But right now it's come down and it's just going sideways and it's just punching, just hitting that constantly, constantly. So is it going to roll down or is this where it's building steam to run off? I don't know. I don't have a clear idea. When it does break these levels, we can just looking at a trend line here. When it does break these levels, we can have a more clear look as to what these currents, this pair is going to do. But I don't know. I don't know. Something like this might just be, I'm like cutting things off. This would be more upside. It's a ascending triangle. Um, and that's very rudimentary, but I just wanted to highlight some of those things there for you. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna jump into anything there. So this is an interesting one. We talked about this, and it broke out, and it just presented this tiny little doji on a daily. And I left these lines here. I believe Gary from the group was asking about this, and it ended up running off. And in the matter of a week, it ran back down and is now sitting on this level. This is a strong sell-off. This really panicked a lot of people, and we were ready for it. So now we're on top of this wedge again, and I am interested to see what happens here. I I just read that the futures market opened very low, and I think we are seeing a little more downside before we see upside. I think we're going to drop through these levels here. At least, it flagged, which we talked about. It dropped down, and it's failing to find support in that area there. I don't know. Yet again, it's early in the week. Let's sit back. Let's have a look to see what happens. But yeah, this isn't a good scene right now, and I think people are feeling it. A lot of sell-off happening, a lot of fear in the markets. Um, we talked about oil already. I do believe we're selling off to the downside, and it's correlated with the other pairs, the odd and the CAD especially. Gold, I don't know. She's really twitchy too. I watched this broker, and this is the IDC. Oh, okay, I don't know what that is. But this is, I don't execute on TradingView. I just use them for their. You can see it's, I don't know, a lot of long wicks on the bottoms here. You can see just how much support gets built in, and then we have this runoff. But yeah, I'm going to sit on my hands. It's at a level where it's dropping through this trend line. I actually did trade this, and I believe I posted it, if not on Twitter or something. But I, I traded this and I woke up and I started to scale out and went to break even here, and I'm glad I did. It was one of those trades. It was a Friday. But we are now dropping out of a trend line, and this trend line here's a perfectly placed trend line, and I want that to be known that I'm not, fitting a curve. And as this candle here couldn't break, it was showing a beautiful hammer for me. I took it and we went long, but I don't know at this point. I'm not sure, and if I'm not sure, I don't have an edge. So not that I am ever sure, but if I don't feel confident, I don't have an edge, and I just move on. Silver, people just love talking about silver. Nothing jumping out at me right now. I am a perpetual bull on precious metals, especially at this point. They are not overbought, and we have so many different areas for us to get to before anyone's going to be saying that any one of these is overbought. So you can see we traded this all the way along, and some great analysis, some not so great analysis. But I want to see things up here. I want to see things getting up here. So if it needs to come down, correct, find its buyers, and then take off. That's one thing, but we'll talk about that as that grows over time. I just keep watching this. This is the Hang Seng. It's the Hong Kong index, and there there's some pretty amazing footage on Twitter of what is happening. This country is under siege. Hong Kong is under siege, and really an amazing time to watch uh, the world turn. I'm a technical trader, but I do obviously use macro drivers as well. We talk about fundamentals, so let's remain professional and kind of take in all the information we can, and we'll go from there. So this is also the Nikkei. It's the Japanese index. You can see it's looking strong as well. It's had its runoff. It mirrors clearly the S&P, but we're going to watch this as well and start. This helps. This correlated to our yen pairs, so this is why I watch this. And some guys watch the COT reports and the futures markets and all these sort of things. I have a pretty narrow. I definitely use my I definitely use my various sources to get my information. And at the end of the day, we try to be right. So let's ease into the week. I have gone long on that Euro Swissy. I am waiting for this Euro US this Euro US Swiss the Swissy pair, this US pardon me, a little bit of a brain freeze there, the US Swissy pair. I want that sell off. I think it's going to come. It hasn't found, in its wave, it hasn't dropped to find more upside. These last couple hour candles tell me that it's just failing to break above it. We need to get further down here, which is where my take profit is. So it's a nice little scalp for a Friday, not getting stressed, or pardon me, a Sunday night, not getting stressed out, and I'm gearing up for a really good week ahead. So let's keep our heads on us and let's trade the markets as they come to our areas. We've had a look at some charts, we've set some alerts, and I think the sun is dropping here in Costa Rica. It is insanely golden outside. I'm going to hop on my little motorbike and go for a rep. All right, everyone. Thank you.